So let's kind of break this down. Okay, so let's focus on Paris first, and we'll kind of deal with the other components in a second. So you're talking about $3 or $4 million to be spent on Paris. What's that going to allow you to do? I mean, obviously, you've got a resource number there, but then what? How do you create this value in this high silver environment that we're in?
Sure. So we need to improve the geological confidence. While there's a resource there, we need to move it into an indicated status that allows us to produce a reserve and have a financeable project. Every time we've gone back and drilled this project, or the previous guys have drilled it, been able to lift the grade by about 20% each time. And we are expecting we're going to do this as we improve that confidence. So we'll end up with a better metrics associated with that project in Paris. The feasibility study will also complete the MET testing and all the other infrastructure design, the process plant costing. So we come out of this with a pre-feasibility study, fully costed, economics determined, and assuming that we have a better than $30 silver price in Australian terms, this project works.
Right. So looking through the material that you have produced, you talk about having the highest grade primary silver resource in Australia. That's a great headline, but it's about the size of the ore body. So what do you know today which lends you to believe that this is something that's going to be economic and meaningful?
Look, I suppose stepping aside just from that Paris footprint, we've got a 3 kilometre trend that hasn't been explored. Hasn't been drilled historically because there was some heritage clearance issues. Not problematic, it's just we hadn't gone and sought those clearances. We have over the last 18 months. We'll have a regional exploration program that we expect to see. We always have our fingers crossed. We're the greatest optimists around, and we'd like to see additional resource that can bulk up the Paris project. Paris on its own is a 7 to 10 year project. As I said, great economics at better than $30 Australian silver price.
So how do you take $3 or $4 million and create value? Like your shares have come back. You've kind of reignited this story. The silver market's done a lot of the heavy lifting for you. What are you going to do with your $3 or $4 million to actually take control of this and drive this forward to the potential that you see? I mean, how should I be looking at this project?
Look, I suppose two parts to that answer, Matthew. With a Scottish background, I'll spend the money frugally. But the other aspect of that is that, as I said, we have enough money to be able to lift this project into its next stage of development. People draw lots of curves about the value creation, and when you go through that uninteresting part where you're doing all the studies and no one wants to know about you, we won't have to raise money. We're able to just drive through that. As I said, it's not often you can say we've raised too much, but we did also, with almost consummate timing, pick the height of the silver price. Our shares did go to 6 cents. That was when we did that for a nanosecond. We did that placement then. We're well above placement price now. Lots of happy shareholders that are continuing to follow the story. Absolute pinpoint exposure to silver price, and that's why we do need to, we've been around long enough to know we have to have some diversification as well.
Okay, so let's stick with Paris. So what do we know today about what you've got, and what are you going to do to enhance that?
Sure. So one of the other challenges is always improving the metallurgical recovery. So we have some specific test work focused on one component of the resource that we know has a lower than average recovery, and we're going to see how we can tune that up. That's money for jam. If we can get another 5% recovery out of that, then it goes straight to the bottom line of the project. We expect that the resource grade will also lift. As I said, it has every time we've drilled it before, and there's some logic why that happens, because there's some high-grade zones that haven't been spread wide, and as we infill, we'll be able to have those influence a greater part of the resource. As I said, we also have regional opportunity. There's 7 targets that we're going to drill in parallel with the program that we run in Paris, and that'll give us the opportunity to bring to the table other mineralisation in the district, all within certainly the order of sort of 6 or 7 kilometres.
Right, and again, I'm trying to work out whether this has got the scale to it. Again, what can you tell us about the ore body? Because I've been through the materials. There's not a lot of material. There's not a lot of chat on the chat rooms about you guys. You're kind of slightly, unknown in that sense, that you're not kind of sharing with the market everything that you know. So I'm trying to work it out. So what's the ore body look like? Is this going to be, is it shallow, deep? I don't know. I don't know enough about it.
The absence of news in the last couple of years has almost been by, well, I shouldn't say almost, has been by design. Paris had been worked hard. It had been worked hard in the investment community. Every March it raised money. Investigator raised money to move the next year's program forward. And there was some investor fatigue. So when I first got involved, we said, we'll just park Paris until we have a very, very considered program, a costed program, and we'll be opportunistic about when we start to light the fire and get Paris back on, as you say, in the chat rooms. It's not not 100 million tonne resource, and as I said, this is about quality. It is the highest grade, and by far the highest grade silver project in Australia, and it starts to look like some of the South American silver projects, which are got great grades. We aren't relying on byproduct credits to get this thing over the line. We've got some lead in it, but that's not the thing that drives the economics.
I mean, do you think that's true? It's starting to look like some of the South American projects, because obviously, some amazing grades there, amazing scale to those things, and people are going to be looking towards South America rather than Australia, which people think of as gold. Are you getting the attention that you think you deserve?
Look, probably not, because Aussie investors are really spoiled for choice. You don't have to go too far to find a great gold story. And, people understand gold. It's a lot easier than silver, which generally comes with some complexity and other commodities. So, and look, there's quite a cyclic silver price. How long this run lasts for, well, look, we don't know what's going to go on in world politics, world economics, and in the next 2 to 5 years, let alone the next 2 to 5 months. So, everyone talks about stronger for longer, and I think gold and silver are certainly going to do that. Silver retraced its historical, a very high gold-silver ratio of 120 a while ago. We're back about 70 or 80 at the moment. I think it's probably still got some way to go to come back closer to historic average 50 or 60.
Wow. Okay. There's a number. Okay.
The other interesting thing, Matthew, in South America, you talk about it, is head grades there used to be 450. Over the last 10 years, those head grades have now come back to the likes of 250, which is starting to get into the space where Paris